My family and I are in the process of building our own mountain home with zero prior building experience.
It's gonna be an adventure van.
Several months ago, we put in an offer on what felt like our dream property near Bryson City, North Carolina.
I think this is it.
Yeah, crazy.
It was everything we were looking for, a large lot with plenty of buildable land in a beautiful area. But just a few days after submitting our offer, we were devastated to find out that it was rejected.
Honestly, I'm like so demoralized.
The owners decided to accept another offer that came in the same exact day as ours. So we went back to the drawing board, and in our eagerness to get started, ended up purchasing this half-acre lot.
I'm feeling really good about this property.
It's in a great location with a stunning view, but it's far from perfect. The lot is much smaller than we'd hoped for, and the driveway and front yard are incredibly steep.
Certainly a little frustrated.
And after consulting with a structural engineer and an excavator, we realized that the particulars of our build site would make it quite expensive to build our dream home here.
It's cost them another $20,000. If I was gonna live in a house forever for it, I probably wouldn't do it that way.
But for the past couple months, I've been keeping a close eye on the land market in this area. And recently, several promising properties have popped up on our radar.
That view is nuts.
So this week, we're going to check out those properties and apply everything we've learned so far about site prep and excavation to see if we should just commit to building on our land, or if one of these properties might be a better option for our dream mountain homestead.
I wasn't expecting to like this property this much, but I do.
This is actually what I fantasized about.
Good morning. So, Desiree and I are off to look at some properties today, which is something I was not expecting that we were going to be doing. How are you feeling today going to look at properties again?
I feel, pretty good. I feel like maybe we rushed into our first property a little bit, but at the same time, it's still a good property. The view is fantastic and it's so close to town.
Nothing is set in stone. We could still build our house on the property we own, but step one is to kind of go see what else is out there.
In order to be able to find a property that we can afford that is less marginal than the property that we bought, and that's what I would call it, right? Like, it's just not ideal for building a large house because of multiple variables. And so to find a not so marginal property that we can afford, we end up having to get further outside of Bryson City. So this first property is about 18 minutes outside of town. Holy moly, look at that waterfall, bud. Yeah, and this first property is on a gated community, but they have really light restrictions. But you can see here's the gate. I think it's open a lot of time during the day. I had decided to only look at unrestricted land originally, and so any of these developments I just completely wrote off because I wanted to do whatever we wanted to do, right? Now I'm realizing that, like, mountain property, it's so hard to get a single lot that has a lot of buildable land. So this one has a minimum square footage for the house of like 600 square feet, which is way less than we would do. They allow short-term rentals. They have no restrictions on like cutting down trees. They have no restrictions on like the design of your house. So this one is a very light restriction development. Yeah, so you can see the driveway is cut into some pretty steep land. Not a bad driveway, and it's pretty short.
Wow, look at this view. That is crazy.
That is totally crazy.
And it feels so private out here.
Yeah, first impression, two things. One, that view is nuts, but not a huge build site. The build site here goes up against this berm or this hill, and honestly, it looks to me like you could definitely cut into that more. Also, if you look at the topography of this property, it is on a ridge. And my understanding is that's the best kind of property to create a build pad on.
Now, the vast majority of land in the mountains is going to be on the side of a mountain and is typically quite steep and difficult to build on. So the easiest places to build are on these small sections of relatively flat land, either in the valleys or up on the ridges. The valleys typically don't have a good view and are prone to flooding, so ridges are highly prized prized as potential build sites. This property is extremely unique in that it straddles a gently sloping ridge, which is awesome because we could easily expand the existing build site so that we could have a large flat front yard, as well as cut into the ridge for similar build sites for a large workshop and potentially a guest house. And it's that combination of a very buildable, relatively flat lot that has a great view and is within our budget that gives this property so much potential here in the mountains where such properties are extremely rare.
And you can see, like, this is the ridge that continues to go up. And so all you really need to do is like push all that dirt down the ridge so we wouldn't have to pay for removing the dirt. And then you create more building area here, and then you create more fill out here for like a front yard and whatnot. What I learned from our first property is that you can't build on fill, or it's really difficult to build on fill. So the good land is going to be something like half of this, and then the fill might take up the other half. That's another reason why, to me, for this property to work, we would need to be able to punch into this ridge here, because the more we cut into that, like, that's all buildable land, because that's not fill. Yeah, but once you get up here onto the ridge, it looks not very steep. So what that means is if we were to punch into this further, we wouldn't be creating a giant cliff or hillside. Like, it wouldn't be super, super high. My other question was, like, this ridge, how far do we have to go until we get to the road? This is the road here. So, I mean, that's, what, 100 feet to the build site? That's plenty of space. The other big question here, though, is septic and water. So there's no septic here yet. There's no permit yet. And so there's no like guarantee that the soil would be good for septic. The other thing is water. We'd have to figure out how easy it would be to dig a well. A lot of the times, my understanding is these high elevation properties are sometimes way up above the water table. And so you'd have to drill really far down to get to the water. So I think the key would be talking to neighbors, asking them about their wells and how expensive they were to put in, and then talking to them about septic. But dude, that view is insane.
It feels so private compared to the lot that we bought. We saw like maybe 2 cars. Other than that, all you hear is like nothing.
Yeah. I don't want to get too excited about this property, but like, this is so nice.
It is really nice. This is kind of what I like imagine when we were thinking about like mountain home, just a quiet little parcel of land with a great view.
Yeah, and it like feels like we're in the mountains,
yeah.
You know.
Waterfall on the way, not bad.
Pretty sweet, yeah.
Now, a big reason that we wanted to move to the mountains was that we wanted to live a healthy lifestyle. And while we've always known the importance of eating a healthy diet and regular exercise, it wasn't until recently that we realized how difficult it is to make sure that we're getting all the nutrients that we need, especially now that we've got 2 little girls and less time than ever to prepare meals. I can't believe how long it took me to start taking a multivitamin, but my favorite brand has quickly become Ritual, the sponsor of today's video. I've been taking Ritual's Essential for Men 18 Plus, a clean, vegan-friendly multivitamin that helps me to fill the nutrient gaps in my diet. It's USP verified, which means that it's been independently tested to verify the potency, purity, and ingredient accuracy, which less than 1% of all the multivitamins on the market actually meet that standard, and is made traceable. Ritual shows exactly where each ingredient comes from and why it's used. Plus, it's just 2 minty tasting capsules a day, which makes it a really easy part of my daily routine. So make sure you're giving your body the attention it deserves. Click the link in the description below to get 25% off your first order of Ritual.
So we are approaching property number 2. This one I don't think has a view at all, but it has a lot more acreage, and so it's kind of like in a valley. Okay, here we are. I can't see. Okay, yeah, we're not going off a cliff. Yeah, it's a driveway. Oh wow, okay, this is it. I mean, I see what they mean. They were saying that it could have really good views. It would just be perched on top of a ridge. I mean, you could cut into this ridge more, but I don't think I need to see more, do you?
I don't really like it.
Yeah, I had a feeling about this one.
So we just got to the third property that we're looking at today, and initially it looks like nothing, like it's just kind of like a pull-off on the side of the road. It'd be a lot more work than the other build sites because I don't think there is a build site here. We'd have to kind of clear out a lot of trees and flatten it. It looks like we're on like the edge of a ridge.
And that creek is definitely on the property. One thing I don't like about it is that all of this buildable portion of the lot is right off of this road. Now, this is not a high traffic road. It's not like you're getting a lot of cars coming by, but still, just being right next to the road would be a bit of a bummer. And being like tucked in here where there's no view and it just feels like you're in the woods and that's it, that'd be less than ideal. You see a bird?
It's tiny.
An Isabella fly? Yeah, like a bird. All right, so Desiree and I looked at properties yesterday. We really liked the first one that we looked at, the one that was high up, that had a really nice view. And luckily, I was actually able to get Cody, our excavator, up there today to go look at it. So I'm rushing up there because he only has a little bit of time. We're gonna see what he thinks about expanding that build site. Thanks for meeting me out here, dude.
Yeah.
You can see pretty well from here, but like there's this 10-foot rise and then it really levels off. It continues to go up, but not very steep. So, I mean, I'm kind of wondering to what extent is it possible to just wipe that thing out of
Did they
here?
tell you about the septic field or anything? Yes, we can do that.
Yeah,
Answer that
so that's
question.
doable. They haven't told me anything about septic. As far as I understand, there's no septic permit on file and there's no well.
Yeah, we could get it off the front here.
This is doable here.
Yeah.
Cool. Most of this, I don't see any rock, but then right over here, I saw a fair amount of rock. So like,
Yeah,
know.
see that being in layers, like you dig it one way and it's extremely hard and you dig it the other way and it comes right up.
oh, so there's like a grain to it and you got to get into
Yeah,
the
a lot
grain.
of times there is. Sometimes there isn't.
There's quite a bit of this ridge before the road. I mean, could we just blast a huge amount of this if we wanted to?
Yeah.
And I mean, what are we talking about in terms of cost as we remove more and more? You know what I mean?
We would need to see where we can put it. Would you want them down this?
Yeah, I
too?
believe so. In my imagination, I'm like, yeah, just push it all down there. Is it less simple than that?
I mean, it could be that simple, but it'll never stay there. I wouldn't recommend it.
And a lot of why that's not recommended is because it ends up in the streams and that's like an ecologically
Yeah, or it's
bad
just
thing.
a slide. Or like this gets established and it looks good, and then you start using it, and then in 10 years, it just slides.
And what do you think about that kind of the backbone of the ridge line here? Could that work as a foundation for a deposit for all that material?
Depending on where their septic is.
Yeah, so if we did it over here, then it might be all right because we could go this
Yeah, we
way.
may could build this out for sure.
As I came here the other day, this area kind of popped up in my mind.
We could deposit a lot of the dirt right here on this knob, fill this out, you know, build your house, whatever, let all this settle down as long as it's gonna settle, and then don't plan on having a house out here. But if you was gonna put a shop or something like that, it'd be fine, I'm sure. But no, there's a good bit of room here that you could gain.
Right,
You know,
totally.
where that little pine tree is on the bottom there, if you took it kind of just over,
Uh-huh,
you're gonna double your space.
totally, yeah. Yeah, pretty much go to as far as they've gone that way and then cut
Yeah.
straight over, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good lot.
Yeah, cool, man. Well, yeah, that was short and sweet, dude. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, it's better to do this on the front end than the back end a lot of times, so.
100%, man. I gotta say, if any of you are considering buying property in Bryson City, hit Cody up first thing, like before you
before
do
anything.
anything.
Yeah. I do think this property is much, much better than the other property.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is a pretty great spot for us. What do you think of the view, Stinky Butt? You can't even see the view. Are you just playing with Dad's fanny pack? Yeah, I think we should do it. I mean, I love it here. And when we first started our house search,
this is what I had in mind.
Yeah.
And we just didn't find anything like this, you know? Anything that has a view is in the mountains and is just so buildable.
This is actually what I like fantasized about when we were living on the sailboat, you know,
Yeah.
because we're always surrounded by ocean, which is gorgeous, but I just love walking and being out in like the woods. And so I would be like on a passage and like Issa would be throwing up, I'd be seasick and nauseous, and I would close my eyes and like dream about walking out my front door and like being in the mountains. And like I don't even have to leave the front door if we build our house here. I could be in bed looking at that. It's just crazy to think about. What do you think, Ma?
Thumbs up?
It's really nice. I liked the drive. It was real pretty. It's just like you're in your own paradise.
So you think we should go for it?
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to live here with us? We could build your guest house up there.
Well, if you build me a guest house, yeah.
Okay, buddy, let's do
All
it.
right, let's do it.
I'm gonna redo that. That was awkward. How about just a hug?
Okay.
Yeah, I am so excited, buddy.
Me too.
After our long search, we came to a realization that we were gonna have to seriously compromise.
Yeah.
And then last minute, it seemed like maybe we don't need to compromise
Yeah.
and we can actually do the thing we wanted to do. So
Yeah.
yeah, very excited.
Nailed it.
Nailed it. Well, I got some big news here.
Okay, guys,
Uh-oh. What? We got it? All right.
we got the lot.
We got it. We have a new
We got the lot.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's great.
High five, Isabella.
Scarlett, give me a hug.
Dad, a hug.
Give me a hug. Yeah, we did it. We got a property.
She's gonna be a true mountain girl then, from the get-go.
Yeah, they are. Well, they're both gonna be mountain girls.
Yeah, but Issa's got the salt in her veins.
Yeah, that's true.
Can't wait to get up there and like be like, this is our spot, you know?
It'll be fun to like watch the sunset there,
I know.
or the
Huh?
sunrise.
So the last couple weeks have been a massive learning experience for us. And in hindsight, we probably did rush into buying our first property. And we probably should have just waited a bit longer to see if something better would pop up on the market. But the truth is that now that we're on this journey of building our mountain homestead from scratch with zero building experience, we're kind of in the business of making mistakes. And this is certainly not going to be our last. But I think it's important that we don't judge our progress on this journey by the mistakes that we've made. The real question is, can we stay humble enough to recognize and acknowledge our missteps, learn from them, and continue to move forward no matter what dumb stuff we end up doing? We need to remember that all of the stumbling blocks that we're going to encounter along this journey are not failures, even if they feel like it in the moment, because those are the moments that will push us to grow and improve. And in a way, those will be the most important moments of this entire journey. In fact, one of the main things I learned from our years of sailing around the world is that every problem does have a solution. We just have to be willing to look for it. And when I think about how our property search turned out in the end, honestly, I think it turned out great.